Here is a small confession most owners will recognize. When a customer asks, "How much would that cost?" you often pluck a number out of the air. You do a rough sum in your head, add a bit because this one looks fussy, take a bit off because you like them, and say a figure. Then spend the rest of the day quietly wondering if you undercharged. Every quote is a fresh act of guesswork, so two nearly identical jobs get two different prices, sometimes a big difference, and none of it is written down anywhere. When you are busy, you rush it and lose money. When you are unsure, you pad it and lose the job. The maddening part is that your pricing is not actually random. There is a real logic to it living in your head. You have just never pinned it down. Today I want to show you how an AI assistant helps you turn that gut feel into a simple, consistent quote calculator you can trust. It builds the logic, you set the prices, the number you pluck from the air. Let us name where most owners get stuck and call it level 0. You price by feel, live every time. There is real knowledge in that feel. You know roughly what things cost and what your time is worth. But because it is never written down, it wobbles. It changes with your mood, your cash flow that week, whether the customer seems price sensitive, and whether you remember to count the little extras. So the same job gets quoted differently on different days. Your staff cannot quote at all without you, and you have a nagging suspicion you are leaving money on the table on the fiddly jobs while scaring people off on the simple ones. That is level 0, a real pricing logic trapped in your head, reinvented under pressure for every inquiry, inconsistent and impossible to hand to anyone else. What a quote calculator really is. Before we open any tool, get clear on what we are actually building, because it is not accounting software. A quote calculator is just your own pricing logic written down as a set of steps. What is the base price for this kind of job? What adds cost? More units, a rush, a tricky location, premium materials. What is your minimum, below which it is not worth doing? And what margin do you need on top so you actually make money? That is it. It is the invisible sum you already do in your head, made visible and repeatable, so anyone can follow it and get the same fair number twice. Base, add-ons, minimum, margin. Once those four are on paper, quoting stops being an act of nerve and becomes an act of arithmetic, which is exactly the kind of thing you want to be boring. Give it your costs and your rules. Here is the first move, and it is simpler than it sounds. You do not ask the AI, "What should I charge?" because it has no idea what your costs are and would just guess. You give it your real numbers and your real rules. Tell it what a typical job costs you to deliver in materials and time. Tell it the things that push the price up and by roughly how much: an extra room, a same-day rush, delivery outside your area. Tell it your floor, the price below which you walk away, and the margin you need to survive. Your costs, your add-ons, your minimum, your margin. With those, the assistant is not inventing your prices, which would be worse than useless. It is organizing the real logic you already use into a clean structure and doing the arithmetic reliably, which is the part your tired brain gets wrong at 5 o'clock on a busy day. Brief it like a careful estimator. Now the shift that makes this work. You do not say, "Build me a pricing tool and hope." You brief it like a careful estimator who wants every quote to be consistent and fair. It sounds like this. Here is what my jobs cost me. Here are the things that add to the price and by how much. Here is my minimum and the margin I need. Help me turn this into a simple step-by-step calculator where I enter a few details about a job and get a consistent quote. Show me the working so I can see how the number was built and flag anywhere my logic looks like it would lose me money. That brief is the whole secret. You are not asking it to decide your prices. You are asking it to structure your thinking and check your arithmetic, so the number comes out the same, whether you are fresh or frazzled. The jobs to ask for. Let me give you the specific jobs to ask for every time, because together they turn guesswork into a system. 1. Lay out the pricing logic as clear steps so you can see exactly how a quote is built rather than trusting a mystery total. 2. Do the arithmetic reliably, because the machine will not forget the delivery fee or fat finger the multiplication the way you do when rushed. 3. Show it's working on every quote, so you and your staff can sanity check the number before it goes out. 4. Flag where your own rules would lose money, the job priced under cost, the add-on you forgot to charge for. And 5. Make it simple enough to reuse, a few inputs, a clear output, something you or your team can run in a minute. Lay out the logic, do the maths, show the working, flag the losers, keep it simple, ask for those 5 and quoting becomes calm. Rewrite quotes start to finish. Let me make it concrete with a made-up example. Picture an owner we will call Sam, who runs a small moving service and has been quoting off the top of his head for years, sometimes winning jobs he loses money on. He gives his AI assistant the real picture: base rate per hour, cost per mover, a surcharge for stairs and for long carries, a minimum call-out and the margin he needs. He asks it to build a simple step-by-step calculator. Now, when an inquiry comes in, he enters the details: 2 movers, 3 flights of stairs across town, and gets a consistent quote with the working shown. It even flags that his old stairs surcharge did not cover the real extra time, so he was losing money on walk-ups. He fixes one number. Every quote after that is fair, fast, and the same whoever asks. That is level 1. Level 0 versus level 1. Now let me name the real difference this makes, because it is not about charging more, though you often will. It is about charging consistently and knowingly. Level 0 is pricing by nerve, a different number depending on the day, the mood, and how busy you are, with a permanent low hum of "did I undercharge?" and no way to let anyone else quote for you. Level 1 is a written calculator that turns a few job details into the same fair number every time, shows how it got there, and cannot forget the surcharge or the minimum. Your job shrinks from agonizing over every quote to entering a few details and reviewing a number you already trust. And because the logic is visible, you can improve it deliberately. Nudge a margin, add a fee, instead of guessing in the dark. Same knowledge you always had, finally turned into a tool that works even when you are tired. Rupinitaments, your judgment stays in charge. This next part is not optional, so I want to be direct. The calculator is only as good as the numbers you put into it, so the AI does not know your true costs or margins, and if you feed it a wrong figure, it will confidently produce wrong quotes all day, faster than you ever could by hand. So test it against a few real past jobs before you trust it, and check that the quotes it gives roughly match what those jobs should have been. Keep your judgment for the things a formula cannot see. The difficult client worth a premium, the dream job worth a discount, the one-off that breaks the pattern. The calculator gives you the baseline. You decide when to override it. And revisit your inputs when your costs change, or it will cheerfully quote last year's prices. The AI structures and calculates. You own the numbers and the exceptions. A simple way to start. If you want to try this, here is the low-effort way in, and it is smaller than it sounds. Do not try to price your whole business. Pick your single most common type of job, the one you quote most often, and write down how you actually work out that price, badly, in whatever order it comes. Give that to your AI assistant and ask it to turn just that one job type into a simple step-by-step quote with the working shown. Then test it on 2 or 3 jobs you have already done and see if the numbers make sense. That is the whole experiment. One job type, one clear calculations. Once you feel how steady it is to quote your most common job the same way every time, you will want to bring the rest of your pricing out of your head too. The honest watchouts. And because I promised no hype, here are the honest watchouts, and please take them seriously. First, it is only as right as your inputs, so garbage cost in means confident wrong quotes out, which is why you test it against real past jobs before you rely on it. Second, do the maths, check yourself at least once, because a plausible looking calculator with a broken formula is more dangerous than an honest guess. Third, keep room for judgment. A formula cannot see a difficult client, a strategic discount, or a job you should not take, so treat the number as a strong default, not a command. And fourth, keep the inputs current, because a calculator quietly running on old costs will erode your margin without you noticing. Use it to make your pricing consistent and visible. Keep the real cost numbers and the exceptions firmly yours. Quick recap. Let me pull it together. Level 0 is pricing by feel, a different number every day. Money left on the table on the fiddly jobs and nobody but you able to quote. Level 1 is giving an AI assistant your real costs, your add-ons, your minimum, and your margin, and briefing it to turn that logic into a simple step-by-step calculator that produces the same fair quote every time and shows it's working. Then you test it on real past jobs. Keep your judgment for the exceptions and update the inputs as costs change. The 5 asks are: lay out the logic, do the maths, show the working, flag the money losers, and keep it simple. What you get is quoting that is fast, consistent, and honest, the real logic from your head turned into a tool that does not wobble when you are tired. Critiquemost ben fan pien tansio. This is the workflow that turns your gut feel into a calculator you can actually trust, and we made a free step-by-step course that walks you from level 0 to level 1 in plain language, no jargon, and no technical background needed. It shows you how to get an AI assistant onto your own computer, working with your own cost and your real jobs, so you can build this on your actual pricing instead of taking my word for it. Head to afirstasia.com/level1 and take the free course. Do it once with the job you quote most often and feel how steady it is. And if you want more of this, practical AI workflows built for SME owners, honest and no hype, then subscribe. Level 1 is right there. Go take the step.